Hey friends, imagine if I told you that burnishing leather is easy. You are overthinking it, and today I'm going to show you exactly how to do it fast. A lot of people are going around the internet being like, oh, you need a zillion things and you need this and that and you need this. You don't. All you need is 3 things, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. All you need is Toono, some canvas as used as possible. You can use jeans, you can use cargo pants, whatever it is that you got lying around, cut a square out of it and you're done. It just needs to be that kind of stiff material texture. And you need a beveler. So, let's get started. First thing you're going to need is your beveler. All a beveler is it takes a shoestring off the side of your leather, off the corner, to round that edge so that you don't get mushrooming. That's all it does. It's a fancy way of taking the corner off. There's like 5 million different sizes, probably 5 different sizes, maybe not 5 million. And they all take a different size, a different amount of leather off. 0 will take the smallest amount off. 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 or 7 million will take the biggest amount of thread off. I'm going to call it thread. It looks like thread. It's the leather twirly bit that comes off the side. So the smaller the bit, the bigger the bit. Simple. Now, one of the byproducts of burnishing the edge is you get mushrooming. When you rub the edge really fast with your canvas rag, it mushrooms out. It can do anyway. The way we combat that, and as a byproduct, we get a really beautiful curved edge on the top, is we use a beveler. Now, this is a really nice one from Palo Santo. I will link it down below if I remember. It's rather quite expensive. I believe these are about $70, but you can get some really cheap ones if you're just starting out. I'll leave a few options, so you don't need to spend lots of money. The next thing you're going to need is your Toono. It is a Japanese burnishing compound from a company called Seiwa Leathercraft. It's leather finishing compound. I actually don't know what's in it. I think it's got a bit of PVA glue and a couple of other magical fairy dust things. Not entirely certain. I'm sure someone out there will know. If you do, leave a comment down below so that the rest of the world can find out. I don't know. But it's magical. It's like angel tears. This stuff works brilliantly. I love it. And it leaves such a durable edge as well without being plasticky. First thing we're going to do after we've cut the leather out and we've stuck it together. Now when you're gluing your leather, one of the biggest mistakes that beginner leather workers make is not letting your glue dry properly. If you're using a contact adhesive and you don't let it dry fully, you get squeeze out and then you spend years of your life sanding away the stuff. It's brilliant. I get it from Pro Italia Plus. There's loads of options out there. I'm going to be doing a video on adhesive, so make sure you subscribe. Adhesive, it's a hard word to say, we'll just call it glue, I think. You want to make sure that your adhesive is fully dry, so that when you stick it together you don't get any squeeze out. You know it's fully dry because it's clear, so when you put it on it will be white, and then as it dries it will become clear. That's how we know it's dry. So, it's dry, put it together, give it a bit of a squeeze. I'm stitching mine simply because it's very unlikely that if it's more than one piece of leather, so if it's the top of a card holder for instance and it's just one piece of leather, obviously it's unlikely to be stitched. It might be, but it's unlikely to be. But if it's 2 pieces of leather, it's probably going to be stitched. So I'm going to stitch mine. I'm using a 0.45mm Misi superfine linen thread for this. It's one of my favourite types of thread. If you've creased it before you've beveled it, you might need to re-crease it. Now, if you're just starting out, you might not know what a creaser is and you might not be using a creaser in the first place. I am using a creaser because I like it. I do it automatically now. Your results may vary, you may not use them, you may not want to use them, and that's fine. And then after we've beveled it, we want to do what a lot of other tutorials forget to mention, and that is sanding it. And the reason for that, even if you've got a really nice cut edge, the Toono, or whatever it is that you've chosen to use, probably won't absorb in as well. So you want to make it as smooth, sanded smooth as possible. So I'm using a sanding block superfine. It's about a 400 grit. So you want to get it nice and smooth edge, because the biggest mistake you can make when you're burnishing is not preparing to burnish. After you've sanded it to a smooth edge, we're then going to put our first, and I say first for a reason, you can do multiple. We're going to put our first coat of Toono on. Now this you can do multiple times. There's no limit to how many times you burnish your edge. It just gets tiring after a while. So we're going to put our first coat on. Some people put it on and immediately rub it off. Please refrain from doing that. The whole point of it is to soak into the fibre, so when you rub it, it seals it. That's the whole point of it. So if you put it on and immediately rub it off, you're kind of negating the entire purpose of using it in the first place. So we're going to put it on, we're going to let it soak in just for a couple of seconds, just until the leather darkens a bit, because it's absorbed into it. It absorbs very quickly. You'll have a bit of excess on. We're then going to get our burnishing rag. In this case, it's a heavy canvas, that's it, or your blue jeans or whatever it is that you're using. You want to get your, what I like to do is fold it in half so I have a firm thing to grip, because you're trying to compress those fibers. And then you're going to start rubbing the thing, because the purpose of this is to seal the edge and make it look pretty. We like pretty things. It's leather, kind of the point of it. So we're going to rub it until it's smooth and until it's shiny. And then after we've rubbed it until it's smooth and shiny, and you know when you're done, either you'll get this squeaking noise or either you'll get that noise, or it'll just be, there'll be very low resistance when you're rubbing it. And then it's time for the end game move, the big brain move. So after we've done the first coat, we're going to take our 400 grit, or you can use a higher grit if you would prefer, like a 600 or 1000, and you're going to rub it down again. You're going to sand it again lightly. You're not taking off an inch of leather. You're going to lightly take off the top, and then you're going to reapply your Toono. And what you're doing is you're taking off the high spots, you're smoothing it a bit with the high grit sandpaper, and then we're going to rub it again, we're going to burnish it again. And the more times you do this, the smoother it will get. Now you've got to weigh up the cost of it, as in how much you're being paid to do it, versus how long you do it for. So if you're making it for yourself, and you want to spend a decade rubbing your edge, go for it. I'm not going to judge. Good arm workout, bit of elbow grease. If you're doing it for someone, or you're doing it for let's say you're doing a dog lead, for instance, or a bridle for a horse, or a belt, or whatever, and it's going to be used, it's going to be worn, I would highly recommend not spending the next 20 years of your life rubbing the edge, because it doesn't need it. It's probably going to wear off in a couple of days anyway, or a couple of months. So, probably not a couple of days, a couple of months it's going to wear down, it's going to age, it's going to do what leather does and break in. So, in this tutorial obviously I'm doing it twice, but that's just because it looks pretty. That's about it. So after we've done it the second time, or however many thousand times you want to do it, we're done. That's it. There are next steps you can do, but this is the quick and not so dirty way of getting a beautifully elegant edge in a very short space of time with 3 things. 1, 2, 3, plus sandpaper, which I don't count as a thing because we all have it in our drawer. 3 things, and that's it. I mean, you're done. It's not rocket science. I don't know when it was invented. I don't know how someone discovered that if you rub leather really hard it compresses. But they did. And now it means that our pieces last longer because the edges don't get soaked in water and rot and dissolve and fall apart and become bleh. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I super appreciate it. Have a fun. Don't forget to, almost forgot there. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Leave a message down below. Have a fabulous week. Take care.